They want Don Lemon to quit at CNN. They're saddled with his contract, and so that they don't want to fire him and have to pay him off and eat all that money. And so they've put him in hospice on their morning show. Something very, very interesting happened last night during that Chargers-Chiefs game. Something very important happened. Because I've said this for years. The NFL, the NBA, all these live sports, all they are TV shows. They're no different than whatever your favorite TV show is right now. If it's House of the Dragons, if it's reruns of The Cosby Show or Martin Lawrence, that's all the NFL is. And you know what they do on TV shows? They write people and characters in and out of the script. And we saw that last night. No one else is going to tell you this. Eric Bieniemy, the alleged offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, he's been written out of the script. If you watched that game last night, and I watched every drop of it except for the first 4 minutes, maybe it was talked about in the first 4 minutes and I missed it because, again, I was at the Woman King, had to come home, get settled, and then watch the Amazon, and I missed the first 4 minutes of the game. And so maybe it was discussed. But I don't think it was. And if it was, it wasn't discussed the way it used to be. Eric Bieniemy, the alleged offensive coordinator, he's been written out of the script. The whole Andy Reid and the Chiefs trying to promote Eric Bieniemy as the next great coaching legend, the heir to Tony Dungy's throne, the heir to Vince Lombardi's throne. Last night, they weren't talking about Eric Bieniemy. They weren't flashing to the sidelines, showing Eric Bieniemy pretending to call plays. Everything last night was about Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid calling plays and running that team. Everything. Eric Bieniemy has been de-emphasized because they're done with it. They couldn't pawn him off on another organization like they've tried the last 3 years, and so they've written him out of the script. All of that is controlled by the NFL teams. Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, they get to green light whoever on their staff they want the television networks to talk about and focus in on. And so for the last 2 or 3 years, the Chiefs were having a concerted effort to try to promote Eric Bieniemy up off their staff and get someone to take him on as a head coach. It's a very clever way of firing people. CNN, again, this is how TV works. We just saw it with CNN. Not with a promotion, but with a demotion. Don Lemon. CNN wants him up off their air. They just took him off his primetime TV show and demoted him to a morning show, New Day. He and two other women, Don Lemon and 2 women, not other women, are going to be hosting a morning show on CNN. They want Don Lemon to quit at CNN. They're saddled with his contract, and so that they don't want to fire him and have to pay him off and eat all that money. And so they've put him in hospice on their morning show until he quits. He's been demoted and de-emphasized and written out of their primetime script until he quits. That's the end game here. Either his contract will run out and they'll just be, oh, we couldn't renew a contract with him, or Don Lemon, out of pride, will take 65% of the money left on his contract to walk away, because that's what CNN wants. They're writing Don Lemon out of the script at CNN. No different than the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL are writing Eric Bieniemy out of the script, and that's why he was not discussed last night. He's been de-emphasized. They couldn't pawn him off. All the media that has spent all these years, oh, Eric Bieniemy, he deserves a head coaching job. He's the greatest he's getting screwed over because he's black, and if the NFL wasn't racist. They've been selling that nonsense forever. Meanwhile, the Houston Texans hired Lovie Smith, off the scrap heap, hired Dave Culley, a 40-year NFL assistant. The NFL has no problem hiring black head coaches. I don't care what you hear on TV, how racist they are and all. Race isn't the issue. We've talked about it on this show. I've talked about it in writing. Culture is the issue. You plug all of these men into this emasculated victimhood culture that has been pushed on black people. You don't produce leaders that way. And that's why black men are struggling to get NFL head coaching jobs, because they've been forced into a culture that does not prepare them for leadership. That's Eric Bieniemy's problem. And that I wanted to get that off my chest because it's connected to the conversation we're going to have about the woman king. Black people are living in a matriarchal culture here in America. A matriarchal culture does not produce high quality black male leadership. Period. End of story. And either we can deal with that fact and correct it, or we can continue to be cowards and whine and cry and call everybody racist and say, oh, it's the white man's fault for X, Y, and Z. It's our fault for maintaining and buying into a matriarchal culture. You eventually, this is what, again, they won't tell you this, but if you stay on your knees and continue to be a beta male and a coward, eventually you're going to get written out of the script. That's what happened to Eric Bieniemy. Life knocked on his door and said, Eric, we did the best we could. We tried to sell you for 3 years. We got all the media running around saying you're the greatest coach in the world. You get in these interview rooms and people figure it out. You're not built for leadership. And they won't give you the job. So, Eric, you know what? They literally tried to get rid of him this offseason. Remember, go read the stories. There was this whole deal. Are they going to bring him back? And they ended up signing him to another 1-year deal. Now they're done. They've given him all the welfare that they could give him. No one would buy the fake product. Written him out of the script.